Have you ever had your entire life change in a single sentence? I mean, really think about that for a second. One minute, you're just planning your future, going about your daily routine, and the next, literally everything you've ever imagined for yourself just vanishes. Today, we're following the incredible journey of a woman who experienced exactly that.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring The Painted Path, a journey through cancer and art. This is a deeply personal, incredibly moving memoir that takes us right through the unthinkable reality of a devastating diagnosis. But, more importantly, it shows us how one person, after losing almost everything, found completely unexpected hope through creativity. So let's step into her shoes and see exactly how this whole journey unfolded.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the life-altering sentence. So the other was just 40 years old. She's walking into her doctor's office expecting answers to some pretty routine concerns. She had her whole life ahead of her. Instead, she heard these exact words: "You have breast cancer." I just want to pause for a second to let the heavy reality of that settle in. When the doctor delivered that sentence, she describes how everything around her just instantly became an overwhelming blur. The doctor kept speaking, throwing out all these clinical terms like treatment, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, but her mind was just racing. Her heart was pounding out of her chest. She could barely process a single piece of information being handed to her. Because, let's be real, absolutely nothing prepares you for that moment.
It is amazing how the universe sometimes speaks to us in our darkest moments, isn't it? After that appointment, she retreated to a red Chevy Tahoe in tears, and as she turned the key and the engine started, the radio flicked on. The song playing? Tim McGraw's "Live Like You Were Dying." She literally sat there, crying in the driver's seat, feeling like life itself was speaking directly to her through those speakers. That drive home felt endless, just filled with these terrifying questions. Would she survive? What was going to happen to her family? What would her future even look like now?
Which brings us to part 2, the harsh realities of treatment. Because as you can imagine, the emotional shock of the diagnosis was really only the beginning. What immediately followed was this grueling physical and emotional gauntlet. Step 1 was a double mastectomy, and she makes a really poignant realization here. She points out that this wasn't just physical surgery. Looking in the mirror afterward, she realized it was emotional surgery too. Cancer was fundamentally changing how she saw herself. Then came step 2, chemotherapy. People always tell you chemo is hard, right? But she notes that until you've actually lived it, you just can't comprehend the physical toll. Which eventually leads to step 3, radiation. But getting there, well, that was nearly impossible.
Just a few days after her very first chemotherapy treatment, her body became incredibly sick with a sudden, terrifying complication: double pneumonia. Her focus had to shift entirely. Instead of just fighting cancer, she was suddenly fighting just to take her next breath. She nearly lost her life right then and there. She admits, very openly, that there were moments she truly didn't know if she would make it. But somehow, one breath at a time, one day at a time, she pulled through.
Moving into part 3, an unexpected lifelong battle.
And this brilliantly illustrates the unseen burden of chronic illness. You see, eventually the chemotherapy and the radiation ended, and like anyone enduring severe trauma, she just kept telling herself, just get through this. The expectation from herself and honestly everyone around her was that once all those treatments were finally done, life would just magically reset to normal. But the reality was drastically different. Months passed and she was left with overwhelming physical pain and this absolute exhaustion that sleep just couldn't fix. Even simple everyday tasks were incredibly difficult. Her doctors kept saying recovery takes time, but deep down she knew something wasn't right. After really searching for answers, she finally received a new diagnosis: fibromyalgia. It explained the pain, sure, but it also meant a harsh new reality. The cancer treatments might be over, but another lifelong journey had just begun.
Now for a brighter turn in the story. Part 4, finding healing through art.
Cancer took so many things from her: her strength, her energy, her confidence, the whole life she once knew. But a completely spontaneous, unplanned creative pivot was about to restore her spirit. And it happened on just an ordinary day. Day 1. She's walking through her kitchen and spots a simple pencil lying on the kitchen island. Without overthinking it, and despite having absolutely zero formal training, she hadn't even drawn since she was a little girl, she picked it up, grabbed a piece of paper, and just started sketching. By day 2, her curiosity completely took over, and she drew the face of Albert Einstein. Day 3, Lucille Ball. There were absolutely no grand expectations here. It was just pure, unadulterated curiosity. But man, that simple pencil changed everything. From those simple pencil sketches on the kitchen island, her creativity just rapidly blossomed.
She discovered watercolors and then eventually moved all the way up to oil painting. Now, art didn't medically cure her fibromyalgia and it couldn't erase her cancer history, but it provided something equally vital: emotional therapy. Every single drawing reminded her that even after the absolute devastation of illness, life could still create something profoundly beautiful. The art didn't just give her a hobby, it literally gave her back her hope.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, Hope After the Diagnosis.
The author shares her story with the world for a very specific, deeply empathetic reason. If you or someone you love is navigating a path like this, she wants you to know that there are going to be days when you're completely terrified, days when the exhaustion is just absolute, and you wonder if life will ever feel normal again. Those feelings are incredibly real, and they are so valid. But hope is equally real. I want to leave you with this really powerful thought straight from her memoir. Cancer may change your life, but it doesn't get to decide who you become. She shares her journey so that no one ever has to face cancer alone. Every difficult moment she endured has meaning if it helps someone else feel even a little less afraid. You are so much stronger than you realize. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this question. What unexpected tools or passions might be lying around on your own kitchen island, just waiting to help you navigate your hardest days? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep searching for that hope, and I'll see you next time.